All right, good afternoon, everyone. Looks like we got a number of folks still coming in, so we're going to give this just another minute or so, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, good afternoon. I know everyone's time is valuable, so we're going to go ahead and get started so we can do our best to keep us under the allotted 45 minutes here. Hello and happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to Spinitar's webinar about our HelpPoint Plus solution, powered by our friends at Teleportivity and in partnership with our friends at Liberty AV Solutions. A couple housekeeping items here. This presentation is being recorded, and we do plan on sending it out to our registered guests at the end of this webinar. So for those of you that may have missed this webinar today, you're hearing this later, or for those that may need to leave early or unexpectedly, we'll be sure to get you a copy for future reference. Also, should you have any questions throughout this webinar, please submit those through this Q&A feature on this platform or the chat during the webinar, and we'll get to as many questions as we can at the end of the overview, time permitting, of course. If we do run out of time, don't worry, we'll follow up with each and every one of you to get your questions answered. My name is Scott Cruz, EVP of Enterprise here at Spinitar, and one of my roles is to really listen to our clients, both large and small, to continually align our efforts and solutions with the needs of our current and future customers. Today's webinar on HelpPoint is our latest support solution and is just one of our many support offerings that augment our traditional audiovisual design and integration services. We call our support offerings success services, and today's HelpPoint solution sits in that stack of services. Other examples of our success services include support plans and warranties, staffing services, software and licensing renewal services, remote monitoring, cyber vulnerability protection, and custom reporting and managed analytics. These success services, as we call it, have continually evolved throughout our 34-year history here at Spinitar, based on customer requests and feedback, trying to maximize their audiovisual investments and help facilitate more effective communication and collaboration. Of course, both internally with their employees as well as with your customers. So in other words, these services were specifically designed to help you and our clients be more successful. Kind of circling back to today's webinar on HelpPoint. HelpPoint is a Spinitar managed turnkey service solution powered by our software partner Teleportivity that's with us today. In a nutshell, HelpPoint is a service focused on delivering a space-specific support portal for the employee or for your customers. And in functionality, HelpPoint, powered by Teleportivity software, is an on-site document or information repository. It's a web app The key point here being a web app, so there's no app to download. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. And it has a fully integrated video and voice help desk. Okay, so prior to this COVID-19 pandemic, HelpPoint was really gearing up to support AV spaces, our meeting rooms, classrooms, huddle rooms, training rooms, etc. All with the objective of addressing a need of providing the right support at the right place at the right time. Again, that space-specific support portal. Well, that was before COVID-19, when we're all regularly using those spaces. And that day is going to come again, and hopefully sooner rather than later, right? But for now that most of us have been working from home and we're gearing up to return to the office, how can HelpPoint and Teleportivity still deliver on its promise to provide the right support at the right place at the right time? Now, while we certainly can continue conversations about applying this technology to your AV spaces, today's webinar is going to focus on questions posed to many organizations right now. And that is, how do we deploy our staff? But not just deploy. How do we deploy and keep our frontline staff safe? How do we greet and assist our customers, welcome vendors and visitors into our buildings? And how do we do all of that in a safe, responsible, yet powerful and meaningful way? Well, we think HelpPoint offers a great solution to those questions and challenges. So, without further ado, let me introduce Adam and David, founders of Teleportivity. And again, Teleportivity is the software that powers our service and solution. So needless to say, we feel very fortunate to have formed this partnership and friendship with Adam and David to help deliver on Spinitar's commitment to find meaningful solutions to help our clients be more successful. So thank you, Adam and David. I'm going to pass the baton to you guys to talk a little bit more about how this platform is solving deployment challenges in this difficult time. Take it away, and I'll pick up again at the conclusion. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Scott, and it's great to be here with you all today, and thank you all very much for joining us. We're very excited to share with you some of the latest developments and features. And as Scott mentioned, there's a whole range of use cases that we're hoping you guys will start to understand, start to think about. Any technology is always a great technology when it solves really big problems. And we believe that, and the way we designed Teleportivity was to do that. How do we solve significant problems? And the current global situation has amplified that even more so. And if we look at today's circumstances and the issues that we're faced with, we all know that it's anything but business as usual. We are all under some kind of restrictive condition environment. We have limited tech capabilities. And one of the key challenges that every organization across the globe has right now is, how do we deploy our staff? How do we maximize the productivity, offer those world-class customer experiences? And this is really where Spinitar's HelpPoint Plus package comes into play. And we like to think that Teleportivity is a nice part of that, because what HelpPoint Plus, powered by Teleportivity, is all about. It's about how you deploy your human staff. We all know traditionally, when we use video products, it's a collaborative way that we use them. So they're specifically designed for collaboration, for meetings. But HelpPoint Plus, powered by Teleportivity, is designed to deploy. Scott mentioned before about right information at the right place at the right time. It's also about how you talk to the right people at the right place at the right time, and which communication method you want to use to talk with those people. And in today's environment, that's become ever more challenging when it comes to how you staff your locations, how you concierge your guests, your visitors, even your staff, how you manage people across your sites. And one of the technologies that we released, which was, of course, initially designed as an AV support concierge tool, which has now extended significantly into a whole range of other concierge type use cases. And it's a technology that we call the welcome space. So you would all know the huddle space, and we know how much that's really transformed the way we meet. Well, the welcome space now transforms the way you meet, the way you greet and guide those staff, those visitors and guests as if you were there. And due to the current global crisis that we're all faced with, we've been very aggressively building technologies around our existing platform that make this a completely touchless, contactless experience. So what you'll see here are a number of different screens. And if you can imagine, you walk up to that screen, and I'll show you a diagram of the workflow of how that would look. But essentially, you would walk up to that screen, and the screen would tell you to say a keyword that you can see here on the left side of the image. When you say that keyword, it will then bring up a series of teams or departments that you want to connect with using your voice and facial recognition. And then ultimately, the third slide is very much about connecting through to that person or series of people in that organization that are designed to help you as if they were behind that concierge desk or that help desk that you see behind you. And the great thing is, what it's all about now is keeping staff safe, keeping customers and your visitors and your patrons feeling the lowest form of anxiety they can feel based on the circumstances that we're all faced with. And of course, this is a very, very big part of how you can plan your business continuity, how you open your doors, how you make sure that your staff are safe, your customers are safe. And to give you a visual of how the technology looks from a contactless perspective, this kind of runs through from left to right the experience that a guest would have when they walk into, say, a building or a series of buildings. So essentially, the guest would walk up to the screen would immediately detect their face and would prompt them to say a keyword, and that's step number one, as you see there. Step number two is the screen would then prompt the user to say a particular word and then a number to connect through to the department they wish to connect with. And then, of course, without touching anything, you can see this man has his hands in his pockets. He's not touching anything. He can then connect through to the right person to help him with whatever the inquiry is. Now, the great thing is that there's absolutely no contact. It's seamless, it's quick, it's a super powerful technology. And the other element of this is it also provides a lot of power to the operators behind the screens, because as the visitor walks into that location and looks at the screen, the operator themselves are notified that somebody is standing near that screen and they may need assistance. So it actually scans facial movement to detect that somebody is near that screen. An alert will be received by a series of operators who are behind that screen. And you can see on the right-hand side here, that operator can then jump straight into that screen even before the user does anything, just like you would in any type of environment where one of your staff walk up to somebody and say, "Oh, hello there, sir. You look like you need some assistance. Is there anything I can help you with?" Exactly the same type of way you would traditionally do that in person is now possible utilizing HelpPoint Plus powered by Teleportivity. And the great thing about the application right now is it works on any tablet device, which can be Wi-Fi, Ethernet, or even 4G connected. So you don't even need your network. And really, as you can see here, the screens themselves can be placed onto walls, onto doors, onto panels, onto desks. They can be moved very quickly. And ultimately, it's about allowing your staff to work from anywhere, teleport into any space, any place, any location as if they were there. Now, that is not something you can do with any collaboration product right now, but it is something that you can do with HelpPoint Plus. And this is really what it's all about. How do you start to restructure and rethink the way you deploy your staff? How do you refocus your staff where they're needed, exponentially increasing productivity as a result? Because everyone's business continuity plan needs to really start to think about how they manage this moving forward. Even in medical environments right now, we're looking at many different hospitals and medical organizations are trying to figure out how do we manage this moving forward, because as we all know, a lot of patients and visitors are really worried about even walking through a hospital door right now. Now that's also reflected into any type of building. How do we try to create technologies that allow people to feel safe, that still maintain productivity? Now, when we're at a time where staff safety is paramount, it's very important to start to think about these things, because even though governments across the globe may say, hey, we're going to open our doors again, we're going to get back to business, I'm sure that we all recognize that that doesn't mean people aren't going to be very anxious and concerned that there aren't processes in place to manage that kind of social distancing and all of the things that we need to ensure happen to make sure that staff can continue to not be necessarily compromised, and the same thing for customers. And one really key element of our technology that we've patented in the screen, on the screen side, or the welcome space, should I say, is what's called jump screen technology. And it's a very unique technology, and it's really part of the secret sauce, so to speak, as to what makes teleportivity so powerful when it comes to how you deploy your people. So you can see here on the bottom left-hand side of the screen, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but I'm kind of looking towards the bottom left of screen here. If, let's say somebody walks into a location and they either activate the screen through voice, facial, or they simply, even if they decide to, they can tap the screen. An operator would appear on that screen ready to assist them immediately. Now, what that operator can then do is they can jump from screen to screen proactively without anybody needing to do a thing. So they can actually jump straight from the ground floor and meet that customer on level 2 and continue to jump all around that building. In fact, they can continue to jump anywhere across the globe instantly on demand, as long as the screen is connected to the teleportivity system. And you'll see on the top of the top right of screen, there's also the functionality for the user to be able to jump straight to the, sorry, should I say for the operator to jump straight through to the mobile device of the user. So let's say I'm talking to you on a fixed screen and I need to have a private conversation with you, or I need to take you into a room to show you an issue that I'm having, say supporting a product. The operator can just click on a button which generates a code. The user gets their mobile device. They don't need any app at all. They scan that code, or they can even enter a unique web link into their phone browser. And within a matter of 5 seconds, that operator jumps straight through to the mobile device. And that guest or user can take the operator with them on their own device and can then continue the conversation in a private setting or in a mobile type of setting. So really, the teleportivity experience has been designed to deploy your staff anywhere they need to be deployed and have an experience that is completely unique. And in today's environment is almost one of the most relevant technologies you can be thinking about right now for how you start to open those doors and make it the best experience possible. Because even though we're all under some type of restrictive environment, it doesn't mean you can't offer a world-class customer experience. Initially, we designed this technology to be able to scale staff and maximize productivity, even more so. So how do we take our existing human teams and make them a lot more productive, a lot more scalable, a lot more value to our organization, because they don't need to be behind a desk. Let's say they're unproductive 50% of the time. Now that whole use case has been taken to a completely new level, because what it's all about now is how do we try and minimize staff face-to-face impact, provide the best experience, keep everybody safe, and ensure that we can continue our business operations no matter whether we have certain events that may affect how we can manage the staff at our premises. So hopefully that all makes sense to everybody. And I think Scott mentioned this, but please feel free to ask any questions in the chat area. I'm more than happy to answer some of those questions as we go through the presentation. If you've got any kind of comments, feedback, it's designed to be a bit of an engaging experience. We can have a bit of fun. If you want to make fun of my accent or do whatever you need to do, please feel free to do so. So just really try and feel free to engage, guys, because this is what today is all about. It's about trying to inform you, but also trying to engage and have a discussion. So if we can see here that that's kind of the first main element of HelpPoint Plus powered by teleportivity. Now, what we're now talking about is how do we now go beyond that on-screen collaboration or support type of experience to provide an extended level of support that makes it completely mobile. And on the left-hand side of screen here, you'll see what we refer to as the support space. So how do we create these unique QR and NFC access points to allow the user to tap or scan their device and really access almost, I like to describe it as an app for every space. How do you, let's say you've got a 50-story building, or you've got a hospital, or you've got a college campus, a museum, a theme park. How do you start to create an app-like experience for your staff around how they manage that facility, for your customers about how they wayfind and how they navigate, for your support teams around how those users in that space can connect with them in the best possible way? Now, we didn't invent QR codes. We didn't invent NFC. The QR code essentially allows you the easiest possible way to tap into the power of teleportivity. So it's not just simply a QR code. Don't just think that, hey, it's just a QR code. I see a million of those every day of the week. The QR and the NFC, if I can compare it to when you buy a PC. Now, although you may buy a PC, and that's what I use as my gateway, it's the software system itself that gives me the power of what I want to use and how I use that PC. And that's essentially what we are. So the QR and the NFC is essentially the way that you access the power of teleportivity, because what that allows you to do is connect all of that information and communication into that single access point. And I'll show you what I mean, but a key kind of tagline that I like to use: how do you make every space, every place, every object, every email, because it's also connected to a web link, how do you make all of those things a portal to a world of help, to a complete, unique experience that is a lot more than just an app? Remember, if I download an app, it's one app for the whole experience, and often is the case that I don't really have the information I need very quickly. It's a cumbersome experience. What this allows you to do is it allows you to create an app for level 3, room 1, or it allows you to create an app for concierge ground floor of building number 5, or lecture theater number 3, or hospital room number 5. How do you start to create a unique app-like experience without any technical knowledge whatsoever? Because HelpPoint Plus, powered by teleportivity, gives any staff member with very little IT knowledge the ability to manage this system in the best possible way. Now, we're going to go through a couple of use cases with you here that are relevant to today's times, but think about this in a whole broad range of ways that you can connect any space to any type of experience you want it to be. It doesn't need to be restricted to the use cases that we're talking about with you today. Let's look at front desk concierge, or AV assistants, or IT concierge desks, or wayfinding concierge desks. How do you connect those same type of desks, instead of having a screen, having that QR NFC access point that the user can simply get their device without any app needing to be installed, get their camera, place it over the code or tap the NFC, and give them access to a whole unique informational experience. And I'll show you exactly how that works in just a moment. I guess the great thing about this as well is you can embed that QR code onto digital signage. You can print it out quickly. You can deploy it within a matter of minutes. You can see this particular example is just a display that's been positioned at the desk. Think about how quickly you can start to manage the information and the way that you deploy your human teams via video, voice, and text. It really is transformational. And to go through with you the workflow of, how does it look for the user? What's the type of experience that my customer or my staff member or my user has when they walk into my building, or walk into that level, or walk into that meeting room, or walk into that storage area or that parking lot? What's the experience they're going to have, and how do I make it the best experience possible? Well, the great thing is that it's going to be the experience exactly that you want them to have based on where they are. So if they just simply walk up to that access point, they get their mobile device, they tap or they scan, you'll see to the right-hand side here, as soon as they do that, they're welcomed to a whole navigation panel with a series of buttons. Now, all of those buttons can be linked to the teleportivity instance that has been created, and they can also link to any external type of web link. It could be a SharePoint area, it could be your own type of websites that you want to integrate with the system. So you can either have all of that information embedded into the one experience, or you can have a whole range of things that are integrated. And as the user scrolls through or taps through the buttons, they may see PDF documents, videos. They could be training videos or welcome videos on how to navigate the building. It even could be a weekly video that's updated by the facilities manager about changes that are happening in that space, all the way through to embedding forms. Think about how you can change your paperwork flow. Right now, nobody wants to pick up a pen. Nobody wants to touch paper. Think about how you can completely digitize that, so that if somebody walks into that space, they can fill in a form. That form integrates directly into Google, into Microsoft, into any third-party-based, web-based form system. It's just completely transformational in the way that you can manage your workflow of documentation and forms, all the way through to integrating web apps into the technology. It could be a scheduling system. It could be a device diagnostics tool. It could be wayfinding tools, for example, Google Maps. Literally with a click of a button, you can embed a Google map into any support space, all the way through to interactive 3D wayfinding tools. Any web-based tool that can be integrated can be managed very quickly and seamlessly. Now you'll see here that as the user taps that contact button, they have a voice, video, and text option at the top. Now another very powerful feature about teleportivity is you can turn any one of those buttons on or off based on the access point. So imagine if I had 100 meeting rooms and I had a QR code or an access point in every meeting room. I can decide, you know what, today we're going to offer video, voice, and text, and it's all on. But tomorrow you reduce it just to text. Or you may have an event on in 3 hours up on level 35. You turn the video support on for level 35 rooms only, and then 2 hours later you turn it off again. So teleportivity gives you a completely dynamic experience that is far stronger than just an app. Remember, this is now connecting unique spaces to unique experiences, unique information, and unique communication, so that when they tap that video or voice button, they can also connect through to a whole range of different teams or departments that you've configured for the support experience. Now, all of those teams or departments can be managed uniquely. So again, you don't need to have, you can change the options based on every single access point as you wish. So you can have 6 different departments or teams available today and 2 tomorrow, all the way through to the live text experience, where you can continue the conversation with that operator via a live text mechanism, or you can even start the conversation with live text. And as you can see there, initiate the video and the voice transaction. And when you do initiate the video or voice, you are put into a queuing system, so it's a nice, easy workflow. Users aren't kind of just waiting on a call or dialing in and not knowing where they are. They can leave a message if they're not wanting to wait, and you can even SMS them with a web link to re-engage the conversation and send them that information when you're ready. And then, of course, ultimately the video transaction takes place, and that particular person, if they're not the right person, they can teleport somebody else into that screen to help you with the particular issue that you have. So here is a real summary of the screens that are all embedded into the single teleportivity experience based on every single access point. Remember, look at all the things you can do just by scanning or tapping. There's no app, there's no download, it's super easy, and all of the navigation, video, mapping systems can be embedded into the one beautiful experience. Now, the only thing I didn't mention to you in the previous area was this kind of code or page lock function you can see to the bottom left-hand side here. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but if you can, I'm kind of moving around there. Now, what that allows you to also do is lock down codes and lock down areas of codes. So as an example, you may be a facilities manager and you're managing your facility and you've got confidential documentation about diagrams with some with instruction guides on how to reset certain things, how to set up a particular area of a building. You don't want the public to access that. You may not even want certain staff to access that. So what you can do is you can lock down that code, and only authorized users who have the specific PIN number can access all of that dynamic content that you start to embed into that code. So it can become a very, very powerful way for you to manage that. And as you see on the right-hand side, the video element of the call, when they tap or scan the video button, comes with all of the great features you would expect in a high quality, high-end video communication system. And remember, there's no app here. Everything is run through the web browser. You can flip your camera, you can mute yourself, you can turn your camera off. You can also initiate augmented reality, where you can take a snapshot of, say, a rack that you're looking at, or a device that you're looking at, and you can take a snapshot of that, and the operator can draw on that image and show you exactly what button you need to press. You can screen share. The operator can screen share with you on your device, so they can share with you documents and different things and walk through all of those documents with you. All of those things that you would expect are available. Really, teleportivity is designed, and this element of teleportivity, the support space, is designed for you to be able to provide assistance anywhere, anytime, instantly, quickly. There's no complicated setup. You can literally have a whole ecosystem of information and communication set up by moving manually a display like this around your location and customizing it for the problem that you're trying to solve. So it really does eliminate that endless exposure. It provides touchless capabilities. Remember, everybody's using their own device. There's no communal pens, there's no hands to touch. There's no forms to shuffle. And then we kind of look at also that whole support experience of your spaces. So let's think about how you previously, let's say a few months before we are today, how did you previously support your locations? Now, perhaps it was okay to have a lot of people roaming around those sites, helping staff, helping visitors, moving from room to room. Well, in today's climate, it's just not okay. It's not something that any larger organization is comfortable with. And that's why you can install these support spaces to allow you to not only scale your own teams across your own organization, but to allow Spinitar and HelpPoint Plus to incorporate with some of those fantastic ways that you're managing your own locations from an AV perspective, and allow to potentially tap into Spinitar's HelpPoint Plus support team additionally. So there's a whole range of ways that the great thing is you can connect accounts together manually through the navigation panel. So you can have a whole range of different organizations helping you and your team very, very seamlessly and very, very quickly. And something that we also provide is what we refer to as the info space. So this is what some of our clients and partners get started with. It's nice and easy. We completely create the experience with Spinitar for you. And that way it allows us to install an informational component of the HelpPoint Plus platform, and really gives you the ability to have the wayfinding and have the forms and have all of that informational element without necessarily having to turn on the voice, video, and text. And when you're ready to do so, of course, we can simply switch that on, and you can then move that info space into what we refer to as the support space, which gives you all of the functionalities and everything that you would need to be able to really make that a powerhouse of support. So from a setup perspective, HelpPoint Plus, powered by Teleportivity, really can be set up seamlessly and quickly. It is a cloud-based platform hosted on AWS all across the globe. We have unique United States instances in case you're wanting to specify the fact that you can host there. I'm just seeing a little chat here. So someone's asked a question here. Can turning features on and off be scheduled? At the moment, it is a manual process, so someone has to go in and manually turn them on or off. But in our upcoming iterations, you will be able to turn on those buttons based on times and specified specific areas. So just to answer that question, it's not available just yet, but it will be coming. But just to follow on from what I was, where I was in the presentation, setup of the system is very, very easy. And because it's cloud-based, we can have you and your clients set up very, very quickly and seamlessly. I think there's a bit of echo here from one of the panels. The other element really is to showcase a couple of the clients that we work with, some of the use cases. One of the organizations is a company by the name of Dexus. They're almost a $32 billion real estate investment trust. And they've been using Teleportivity for over 12 months across a whole range of different use cases. Initially to maximize staff productivity at desks. Now, of course, it's a different scenario. Even just simple access points and how you start to manage the security of your access points without having to have physical people there. So you can see here that Teleportivity is being combined with access control. So underneath the screen there, you'll see an access area where normally a staff member would tap their key. Well, what happens if it doesn't work? Or what happens if it's a visitor? How do they connect with the very best experience to be able to know whether they can enter that access point or not? And there's some very powerful new features we'll be releasing in the next 90 days around this that will significantly enhance that use case. Another client of ours is a company by the name of Telstra. They're a $26 billion telecommunications company, and they use the technology all across their concierge and event spaces, their meeting rooms, at the front of their buildings. But even now, they're using it as a way to manage all of their incoming traffic. They're an essential services provider, which means they have to provide staff in buildings no matter whether there's restrictions in place. A key challenge for any organization like that is, well, how do we manage our front of desk areas? How do we manage staff so that they're kept safe? And even potentially, how do we have staff working from home that would traditionally be behind a desk that can now be on site, on demand instantly? So there are a whole range of use cases you can start to think about for your own organization that can really reflect what Telstra are doing with the technology. And you'll see here as well that you can visit spinitar.com for information on HelpPoint Plus. And here is a QR code, and please feel free to get your iPhone and just get your camera, turn your camera on, and focus it now onto the QR code that you see in front of you, just to show you how quick, how simple, how amazingly effective it is to have a support space that can be installed not just into any space, but onto any digital medium at all. So I think that's really, from today's perspective, that's the presentation. I'll jump back here to the slide here in case some of you haven't had a chance to scan the code. Just think about any questions, any feedback, any comments. Please feel free to start populating the chat area or talk to Katie, who can then reflect some of those questions into the chat area if for some reason you can't ask those questions. But if you've scanned those codes, I'll just kind of finish off with the fact that, particularly in today's times when it's very much about keeping frontline staff safe, ensuring your business continuity, what's very important is how do you really look at your organization, even though you may open those doors and even though business may come back to semi-normal. What's most important for you to start to think about is, well, that's all good and well, but how do we make everybody feel comfortable? How do we also make management feel comfortable that we have a plan in place that will allow us to continue to staff those locations? How do we ensure that we allow our guests and our staff and our patrons to feel safe and productive, and like the building or the space that they're in is doing everything they possibly can to really ensure their safety and overall well-being. And that is the end of the presentation. I'm just going to come through to another question that's been asked by one of our lovely attendees. And one of them is, can you give permissions to reserve a room right to the access point? Now, from a permissions perspective, there are two ways that you can control that. You can authorize certain staff to provide support in those rooms, and you can authorize permissions so that only particular staff can provide support to those spaces or those rooms. One very, very powerful element of teleportivity is the fact that the administrator controls everyone who accesses the system from an operator perspective, and it controls everything, every access point they have access to, and it also controls all the other ways they can integrate with those access points. So you can control everything from an operator side. Now, from a user side, so if I'm a user and I'm walking into that space, I can scan that code freely. It's not something that you can control. What you can control, though, is you can, as I mentioned before, you can lock down the code. So if somebody scans that code thinking they can access that, well, because you've locked the code down, it means they really can't do anything further with that code. So hopefully that answers your question. If there's anything I haven't answered, please feel free to ask a follow-up question. We've got another question here. Are those access points able to link up to room scheduling software such as EMS? They are absolutely able to link up to scheduling software. EMS has a web-based way that you can present the system, and you can essentially copy that web link into the teleportivity platform for every room or every area that you're looking to integrate EMS into. And teleportivity can become a completely screen-free way of embedding EMS into a QR code, because not only will you have EMS, you'll have a whole range of other tools, video chat, live support, and any other web-based tools that you're wanting to integrate into the teleportivity support space. So are there any further questions, attendees, anything that you wanted us to cover? I'll just kind of stop my screen sharing for the moment. And please feel free to ask any questions. Scott or David, if you had any follow-up comments or any feedback that you'd like to add, please feel free to do so.
Oh man, thank you so much, Adam. That stuff is so awesome. I just get so excited every time I see it. I very much appreciate you walking us through HelpPoint and the powerful teleportivity software and the many, many ways that it's helping solve real challenges right now. Looks like we got another question that came in. Is HelpPoint hardware plus software? Well, it depends on the use case. As Adam talked about, it could be purely software, and from a hardware perspective, it might be a poster displaying a QR code, or it could be hardware plus software. So there's a lot of different use cases. And we really want to kind of sit down and have a conversation about how you're looking to deploy, how you're looking to support, and kind of find that best solution for you.
Yeah, and I guess, my kind of thing to add there is, the question really refers to, as well to, I'll just kind of reread the question just to make sure I'm clear with it. Is HelpPoint hardware plus software, or can we incorporate InfoSpace into our existing digital signage in our convention center? Now, what that basically means is, can you order the QR code with the information embedded and have that kind of teleportivity experience without having to have access to the platform? So almost like ordering something on the menu and receiving that fully complete. The answer to that question is absolutely you can. So together with a HelpPoint Plus, Spinitar and teleportivity can create a whole experience for you. And you would essentially receive a whole range of files in the form of a QR code, completely populated with your content, ready to deploy. And all you would need to do with those codes is position them around your convention center. And anytime you'd want to update that, we can manage that experience for you together with Spinitar, so that we can essentially provide almost what we would call a managed experience. So without your staff or team having to do anything, without them having to put the content together, we can create everything for you. And again, the beautiful part about it is, when you're ready to potentially turn on your own video support or your own screens for some of those areas, everything can link together, so you have the whole experience that's been built for you at your fingertips as well. So keep that in mind. It's a very, very powerful way for you to get started with minimal effort. Scott, did you want to answer that question about EMS, or did you want me to cover that?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so just I think the question here is walk up room booking EMS integration. I have kind of answered that one, but I'll just go through that again. EMS has a web-based way to deploy the room booking system, and you can definitely integrate EMS into the support space. So in other words, if you scan the QR code, one page within that may be EMS, the next page may be a PDF document, the next page may be a video on how to use that room. So you'd use EMS as just one element of the way you would integrate. Another, I guess this touches upon another point, which is we can also integrate into ServiceNow, into ConnectWise, into a whole range of ticketing systems that you may be using, a whole range of CRM systems. So imagine if you wanted a user to create a ticket in your ticketing system using the support space, they can do that literally with a click, because we can integrate your ServiceNow instance or whatever your application that you're using into the QR, into the support space, to be able to provide a seamless integration into ticketing and CRM systems and a whole range of other systems. So, please feel free to talk to Scott and the team at Spinitar about a whole range of integrations that we can help you with.
Excellent, excellent. And again, that email address for further questions, sales@spinitar.com, sales@spinitar.com. And again, we're going to email this out to everybody, so you'll have a copy of the presentation and the contact information that's within it. Or if you scan that QR code earlier, you could fill out one of the forms and we'll get to you that way as well. So we are just about out of time here. We just have a couple minutes left, so I'm going to kind of wrap this up. If any further questions come in, we will respond and get back to you on that. But I really, want to thank our customers and prospective customers on the line. Again, thanks for joining us. I know while our time was short, I hope you're able to connect the many use cases of HelpPoint to your challenges and how this solution may benefit your organization as we kind of find our new normal and implement our return to office plans. Also, as a courtesy, a Spinitar Success Manager. These are our folks here at Spinitar that assist our customers with our support solutions. Your assigned Success Manager will follow up with you in the coming days to see if Spinitar HelpPoint, powered by teleportivity, or any other Spinitar Success services may be a fit or benefit to your organization. We can work with you to schedule demos, proof of concepts, talk pricing models, see if your existing hardware will work for HelpPoint, just as Adam was talking about there, or if we need to look at some other solutions to help assist. So on that note, this officially concludes Spinitar's HelpPoint webinar. Again, thank you so much, Adam and David. Thank you all for attending. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you, and be safe.